Welcome to the Everything podcast, and in this episode, I am recapping Torchwood Child Free, which was originally released on the 29th of July 2025, and I'm recording this episode about 2 weeks later on the 8th of August 2025. But before I get on with my recap, a couple of things. First of all, just a reminder, if you haven't checked out my Torchwood playlist, please check that out. Now, Torchwood stories, the monthly stories at least, are quite standalone, so it's not that please go and check those out if you haven't already, because I think if you like this one, you'll like those. But if you want to wait till the end of the episode, it should be at the end of the episode, or if you can't wait that long, if you click on playlist, it should be near the top. But before my recap, here is the trailer for Torchwood Child Free.
Morning.
You nearly gave me a heart attack. Were you sneaking out?
What kind of a woman pulls a man on his stag do?
Oh, that makes sense. Wait, what kind of a man picks up a woman on his stag do?
No, this is just perfect. What else could go wrong?
From Big Finish Productions, Torchwood Child Free.
That is a baby.
Yes, I got that bit. What, is it yours?
No, God no.
Well, how the hell did he get here then?
With teleport or transmat or I don't know. Might be an alien, might be a stalker baby.
Might be an alien.
Yeah.
In Cardiff.
Oh, you have no idea.
Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. Oh my God! What are these things?
Blobs Howell. Run!
Oh my God, they're following us!
They are following the baby! I've been scanning her and the energy she's emitting.
Wait, what kind of energy is she emitting?
Oh, the lethal kind.
Good.
Unless we can think of something, our baby is going to kill us.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Torchwood Child Free, and I'm showing that because here is my recap of Torchwood Child Free. A party seems to be taking place. Someone is calling out for Gary. Susie is arguing with the machine she's currently using. Susie mentions Tosh. The person calling out for Gary mentions Steve. Susie apologizes to this person. Susie buys this person a round of drinks. This person reveals he's currently on a stag do. Susie shows this person something. This person compliments Susie. Susie invites this person to join her. Susie mentions martial arts. We then have the Torchwood theme tune. Susie reveals what she's been asked to do. Highwell kisses Susie. Highwell and Susie introduce themselves to each other. Highwell and Susie discover a baby. Susie and Highwell pick up this baby. Highwell summarises what Susie was about to say. Susie and Highwell wake up. Susie believes Highwell is angry with her. Highwell corrects Susie. Highwell reveals it was his stag do that he was attending last night. Susie and Highwell hear a baby crying. Highwell reminds Susie about the baby they found last night. Highwell insults Susie. Highwell's phone rings. Susie believes the baby doesn't like hearing the phone ringing. Highwell answers the phone to Gravy Boat. Highwell informs Susie that today is his wedding day. Highwell mentions Naomi. Susie offers to drop off Highwell. Susie is planning on delivering the baby to the police station. Susie reveals today is her day off. Susie corrects Highwell about aliens in Cardiff. Highwell asks Susie to slow down. Susie apologises to Highwell. Susie correctly guesses what Naomi looks like and how Highwell and Naomi met. Susie mentions Highwell's wedding. Highwell updates Susie about the status of the baby. Susie reveals she doesn't want children. Susie believes the baby might be an alien. Susie asks Highwell to stop the baby from crying. Highwell sings to the baby. Susie and Highwell disagree over directions. Susie updates Highwell about where the baby is now. Susie seems to refer to Andy Davison. Highwell reminds Susie what he is currently wearing. Susie corrects Highwell. Highwell questions Susie. Susie comes clean to Highwell. The baby has returned. Susie reveals that the baby has teleported. Highwell sings another lullaby to the baby. Susie compliments Highwell. Susie reveals she's from Western Supermare. Highwell chooses to call Gravy Boat. Highwell informs Susie that the baby's had an accident. Susie has found nappy. Susie reveals she has never babysat before. Highwell and Emily reunite. Susie introduces herself to Emily. Highwell calls the baby Sambuca. Emily mentions Naomi. Emily reveals she sees Naomi on a regular basis. Susie answers a work call. Susie passes Sambuca to Highwell. Susie informs Highwell that they need to leave right now. Highwell insults Emily. Susie reveals Sambuca came through the rift. Susie convinces Highwell to run. Susie corrects Highwell. Susie proposes something to Highwell. Susie apologizes to Sambuca and Highwell. Susie raises her voice at Highwell. Highwell raises his voice at Susie. Susie attempts to explain herself to Highwell. Susie mentions hunger and portals. Susie corrects Highwell. Highwell notices Susie's changes in describing Sambuca. Susie reveals that Sambuca will kill her and Highwell if they don't come up with an alternative. Highwell mentions Naomi and Emily. Susie proposes that Highwell tell Naomi the truth. Susie learns that Highwell and Emily have previously slept together. Susie insults Highwell. Highwell reveals he is a graphic designer. Highwell asks Susie for some alcohol. Sambuca starts crying again. Highwell questions Susie, believing Sambuca is an alien. Susie defends her theory. Susie reveals what the energy surrounding Sambuca will eventually do to her and Highwell. Susie calms down Sambuca. Sambuca throws up over Susie. The doorbell rings. Susie and Chester reunite. Chester compliments Susie. Chester has booked a table somewhere for him and Susie. Susie lies to Chester. Highwell and Chester meet each other. Highwell and Chester introduce themselves to each other. Susie attempts to explain what is going on to Chester. Sambuca starts causing things to happen. Susie mentions Jack. Susie catches up Chester. Susie asks Chester to get a frying pan. Highwell attempts to reassure Chester. Highwell informs Chester what Sambuca actually is. Chester attempts to calm himself down. Highwell apologizes to Susie. Susie believes Highwell doesn't need to apologize. Susie and Chester disagree. Chester questions Highwell. Chester leaves. Susie is jealous of Sambuca. Susie believes Sambuca could destroy the world and some people would let this happen. Susie and Highwell discuss Sambuca. Highwell apologizes to Susie. Susie attempts to reassure Highwell. Susie mentions Naomi. Susie admits that she nearly got married once. Susie attempts to decide Susie attempts to decide her job to Highwell. That makes no sense. Highwell mentions Gravy Boat. Susie mentions Naomi. Highwell admits that Naomi cheated on him with a man from work. Susie mentions Highwell's affair with Emily. Susie corrects Highwell. Susie apologizes to Highwell. Susie theorizes about Sambuca. Susie mentions Cardiff. Highwell attempts to reassure Susie. A phone rings. Sambuca starts crying again. Susie asks Highwell to grab a wok. Susie hits something repeatedly with a frying pan. These beings eat Susie's frying pan. Susie asks Highwell to be quiet. Susie asks Highwell to hold Sambuca. Highwell updates Susie. Susie believes she and Highwell can run away from the beings wanting Sambuca. Where am I up to? Oh, Susie mentions distance. Highwell mentions the swarm. Susie mentions marriage. Susie believes Highwell has been looking for excuses. Susie corrects Highwell. Susie plans on getting Highwell to his wedding on time. Highwell thanks Susie. Susie attempts to calm down Highwell. Highwell swears. Highwell and Susie compliment Naomi. Susie drops Highwell off at his wedding. Highwell says goodbye to Susie and Sambuca. Highwell attempts to reassure himself. Highwell attempts to help Naomi. Highwell repeatedly swears. Highwell reunites with Susie and Sambuca. Susie reveals that Naomi is safe. Susie explains what happened. Susie blames Highwell for this and for waking up Sambuca. Susie sings a lullaby to Sambuca. Highwell asks Susie to stop. Susie plans on protecting Sambuca. Susie attempts to stop Sambuca crying. Susie convinces Highwell to join her in singing a lullaby to Sambuca. Susie informs Highwell what Sambuca is currently doing. Susie convinces Highwell to set Sambuca free. Susie where am I up to? Oh, Susie says goodbye to Sambuca. Sorry, it took a while. I'd lost my pace. Highwell notices that the blobs have disappeared. Susie and Highwell reunite. Highwell mentions Naomi. Highwell compliments Naomi. Highwell admits to his romantic feelings towards Naomi. Susie and Highwell discuss Sambuca. Highwell believes Sambuca is lonely. Susie compliments herself and Highwell. Susie mentions Highwell and Naomi's weddings. Susie believes she isn't good with her emotions. Highwell doesn't agree with this. Susie apologises to Highwell. Highwell calls Susie a crazy monster. Highwell kisses Susie. Susie thanks Highwell. Highwell mentions portals. Susie and Highwell say goodbye to each other, and Susie hums a lullaby. And that is my recap of Torchwood Child Free. And Torchwood will return in Torchwood Salvage, which releases in September 2025. But let me know what you thought of Torchwood Child Free. If you listen to it, my recap, if you didn't, you can put your thoughts on both of those in the comments below. As always, anything else you want to cover on the channel, such as any previous or recaps, put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment, and subscribe. But just remember, there are 2 podcast episodes released every single day, with the first episode released at 11 a.m. GMT and the second episode released at 3 p.m. GMT. But without further ado, I will see you in another episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.